I make a lot of jokes on this channel about having a pack a day habit, having to crack a pack before work just to take the edge off, etc. But I might actually have a problem. Has anybody out there ever received some cards and they don't remember buying them or why they were interested in them in the first place? Well, today we're going to go on a little bit of an adventure with Zendikar Rising. And as a bonus, we're going to do something a little bit different with this pack today. But yeah, file this under stuff I was watching and bidding on eBay that I completely forgot about. And then a box shows up at my door, and here we are with a 5-year-old pre-release box. So, we're going to crack this thing open. And as an added bonus, let's actually build the damn deck this time. Instead of sitting here with me going, oh, I don't know. You can tell this thing's old because look how it's been wrapped long enough that the packaging has like conformed to the very slight extension of the box. 5 years in wrap, man. Very cool art. I don't know anything about Zendikar. I wasn't playing when the first Zendikar came out. I wasn't back in the game when this Zendikar came out. But I can tell you right now, these boxes, I do like them. I think that the seal just works a little bit better than the new ones. The box is, I'm sure, the exact same type of cardboard, but it just feels a little sturdier because it's tall and not, I don't know. I think I prefer this, even though it tends to, crumple a little easier. But that's age. Got our spin down in the bottom. Got a pretty basic black, white, gray spin down, but it is nice looking. There is our Zendikar stamp on it. And what we got? 10. That's a good even number. Let's check it out. Let's learn a little bit about Zendikar. Well, actually, let's start with this since it's laying right on the top. Turn Timber Symbiosis. Nice. Mythic Rare 1920, September 2020. Hey, right on, man. We're almost there. Almost a 5-year-old pack. We got a 7-drop sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. If that card is converted mana cost 3 or less, it enters with 3 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and we can land that thing into Turn Timber Serpentine Wood. Nice. Adventure, excitement. A pack cracker does crave these things. Let's gear up for Zendikar. Adventure. Well, that's cool. We've got all this different information about marling spikes, core hook blades, assorted sky hooks, skyforged bracers, and drakeweave ropes. And how to build a pre-release deck. We won't actually build it with the lands. I'm not going to dig all the lands out. There's your pre-release code. That's not going to work because it's too old. And we've got a divider. Cool green magic symbol on there. So we got 1 green card. Let's see what we would have pulled in 3. Wow, and this is back when they used to bother to put different art. That takes me back to the Innistrad, Avacyn, etc. days, man, with different art on the boosters. Draft boosters. Here we go. Let's craft it up. Move everything off to the side. Keep Terra Symbiosis in reach. Nice smooth opening on these old packs. And at least the edges and corners look like they're in really good shape. So thank you for keeping this in good shape. Scavenge Blade. We Wooburg here. Chilling Trap. Smite the Monstrous. Make a little room. Scorch Rider. Blood Price. Jiraga Visionary. There we go. Dreadworm. Canopy Baloth. Ooh, Akum Hellhound, and that's a very nice looking artwork on there. Taunting Arbor Mage. Relic Golem. Soaring Thought Thief, little Demir, right? Hag Remauling. Sweet. I'm not going to look at them all now. We're going to deal with that Hagra Brood Pit. We're not going to read them off all now. We'll go through that later. We got a sweet foil full gone, full art mountain, and a full island, and one of these double-faced helper type cards. Put that off to the side. I'm just going to get them all out, and then we will work through the deck building. Okay. Get to know your boosters. Draft booster, perfect for limited. Set booster, guaranteed foil, and up to 4 rares, which means we're screwed because these are all draft boosters, but that's okay. Core Warrior. Token. Farsight Adept. Tormenting Voice. Negate. Practice Tactics. Dauntless Savior. Expedition Skulker. There's another Canopy Baloth. A Tuk-Tuk Rubblefort. McKindy Ox. Some heavy-duty stuff here. Glacial Grasp. Lull Mage is familiar. A little Simic action going on. Put that down there with the sort of Lithoform Blight. And Zoff Consumption. Our rare is a Nimble Trap Finder. We've got a cool looking Plains. Wow, really like the art style on these land cards. So far, this is a very face melter pre-release opening because we've got a little bit of everything. A bunch of cheap red and blue, a bunch of expensive everything else. Into the Royal. Angel Heart Protector. Another Expedition Skulker. Might of Marasa. Disenchant. Shepherd of Heroes. Living Tempest. Turn Timber Ascetic. Cleansing Wildfire. Tajuru Snarecaster. We're going to have to move our multicolors. Concerted Defense. Umara Mystic. Little Izzet action going on. Here we go. Here's some red. Kozil's Fury, which turns into Kozil's Cliffs. A Wayward Guide Beast is our rare. Trample, Haste, 2/2 for one. Nice. And a Forest. And another little double-sided helper card. So we're halfway through here. Red, green, blue starting to emerge with some possibilities. White is pretty spread out on the mana count. The black's pretty spread out too. There's just not a lot of it. Fisher Wizard. Say that again. Tazim Royal Mage. Tazim Roll Mage, excuse me. Expedition Healer. Gnarlid Colony. There we go. Nimana Skittersneak. Disenchant. Running out of room for these packs. Shepherd of the Heroes. Sick. Living Tempest. Turn Timber Ascetic again. Cleansing Wildfire again. Thwart the Grave. Sweet. Fireblade Charger. Fearless Fledgling. That art with that bug-eyed Griffin is always... I've always liked that. Cartoony stuff. Valakut Awakening is our rare. An instant which puts any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. Can also be the Valakut Stoneforge. A cool mountain. Not nearly as cool as that foil that we pulled earlier. And a cat token. Commander, cube, every format in between. I say I don't know anything about Zendikar. I've played with some of these cards online on Arena, but I don't really know what the style or any of that was, what the big cards were. Fisher Wizard again. Really getting a lot of red. Cascade Seer. Expedition Healer. Marauding Blight Priest. Broken Wings. Tuk-Tuk Rubblefort again. Glacial Grasp. There's an artifact. We haven't seen one of those in a minute. Utility Knife. Nahiri's Binding. Oh, almost lost that one. Cinderclasm. Emeria Captain. Skyclave Cleric. Running out of space. And our rare is a just straight up Crawling Barrens. Add a color list, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Crawling Barrens. Then you may have it become a 0/0 elemental creature until end of turn. It's still a land. Zendikar's Restless. Sweet foil, man. Look at that action. That is awesome. Skyclave Geopede, trample, and landfall. When you land enters, this thing gets +2+. Ooh. Okay, I think we're going to be playing red, given how many options it's giving us, and a sick twister going through the plains, and another helper card. Not bad, man. Okay, last pack. This is number 6. Red really took the lead with that one. That pack was like half red and half white, but I've had bad luck with Boros lately, so I can almost assure you that we're not going to do that, even if it is the best call. Into the Royal again. Smite the Monsters. How can you not like that artwork? That is some You Shall Not Pass for sure. Synchronized Spellcraft. Drawn a Silencer. Dauntless Survivor. Stonework Pack Beast. It's also a Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard. Mark here, Blood Priest. There we go. Cleansing Wildfire again. You know, destroy target land. Yeah, it's a lot of those. Every rebirth looks like a death. Cunning Geyser Mage. Whoa, Cunning Geyser Mage. Seagate Banneret. Kitesail Cleric. A lot of white. Springmantle Cleric. Tangled Florahedron. That's cool. Tap and add 1 green. And our rare is the Archpriest of Iona. Human Cleric. Archpriest of Iona's power is equal to the number of creatures in your party. Nice. Forest. Goblin Construct. Okay. So, this is how I go through it, and this may explain why I do terrible with pre-releases in general. Edge of Eternities aside. We've got a Simic. Whenever you cast a kicked spell, you gain 2 life. We've got a Dimir. Flash Flying, as long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Rogues you control get +1/+0. Whenever 1 or more rogues you control attack, each opponent mills 2 cards. I don't know how important mill is in Zendikar. And then a Umara Mystic is a flying Merfolk Wizard, 1/3. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery or wizard spell, Umara Mystic gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So possibilities with the multicolor, of which we didn't get a lot. I'm not going to rearrange everything in the order of mana cost, but looking through it, we've got primarily a lot of red, white, and then probably green, blue, and then black is probably what we have the least of. And I'm going to scroll through the black real quick because I don't think that we'll be using black if we were to have played on 1920 September 2020. So I'll rearrange these quickly in some sort of coherent order, but I mean, I'm seeing 4s and 5s and 4s, and it's just a lot of expensive stuff. And I'm not familiar enough with the set to immediately see the pattern. We do have a couple of the same card, which is nice. I mean, that's typically I have found most success when having some synergy and some, well, obviously some synergy, but some repeated cards. So we have a enchantment, vampire creatures, which have death touch as long as we control rogues, which would kind of fit along with that Soaring Thought Thief. So we have an enchantment, we have a couple Expedition Skulker Vampire Rogues, which get death touch if we have a rogue. That kind of works with the Soaring Thought Thief. We have the Blood Priest, where opponent loses X life and you gain X number of creatures. Probably not going to work out with the black only because there's just not enough and it's not cheap. Because now we've got into 3s. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Spell costs 1 less to cast if opponent controls no basic lands. Destroy target creature. So that might work if we did black-red and destroyed all those cleansing wildfires. Destroyed lands with all the cleansing wildfires. Nimana Skitter Sneak. Another human rogue. As long as they have 8 or more cards in their graveyard, get +1/+0 and has Menace. Blood Price. Okay. Drawn a Silencer. Dreadworm, which looks sick. Dreadworm gains indestructible until end of turn. Nice. Its silent slithering belies its bulk. Thwart the Grave, of course, we can return those creatures to our hand, and then Zoff Consumption. Each opponent loses 4 life, and you gain 4 life. The Zoff Bloodbog, which is a sick name. Bloodbog? That's a good metal band name. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no on a black deck, which means We can also say no to the Thought Thief. I just don't see enough synergy there to make that move quickly. Although, watch, this would be the one time where me playing Rakdos would have actually been helpful instead of just what I thought was cool, and then I end up getting smoked in like 7 turns because I don't have anything left to play. So next on the docket here, I think we need to decide about blue and green. Blue, we have a nice, cheap, a lot of these are 2 and 3s. Let's see what we've got. We've got, and I know we have some cards in here that are doubled up. So we have a Geyser Mage, Into the Royal, Glacial Grasp, Cascade Seer, Living Tempest, Kazim Royal Mage, Concerted Defense, another Living Tempest, Into the Royal, great name by the way, the Nimble Trap Finder, Glacial Grasp again, no, that's in here, Negate, and Chilling Trap. Okay, so we've got Chilling Trap. If you control a wizard, draw a card, and you take away 4 of the attack. Concerted Defense, counter target creature, non-creature spell unless the controller pays 1 plus an additional 1 for each creature in your party. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. That's kind of nice. Negate. Nimble Trap Finder, can't be blocked if you had another Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, or Wizard enter the battlefield under your control this turn. That might work with the black, actually, now that I've already made that decision. And here we go. Merfolk Wizard with a kicker. Enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Into the Royal, returns target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If the spell was kicked, draw a card. Another one, Glacial Grasp. Its controller mills 2 cards, and that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, draw a card. Making a good case for Izzet right here. Cunning Geyser Mage. Kicker. Enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. Cascade Seer. When Cascade Seer enters the battlefield, scry X, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Living Tempest, Flash, Flying, 3/3. It's kind of a lot for a 3/3, but look at that artwork. Whoa, that's sick. And Chilling Trap. Okay. It's a possibility, because we did have that Omar Mystic, and the instant or sorcery or wizard spells would give us a +2 onto this flyer. So we're going to think about it. I'm going to scroll through the green real quick, because green, we have a Simic green blue, the Lull Mage Familiar, which we can tap to add green or blue, and whenever you cast a kicked spell, you gain 2 life. Maybe it's Izzet with a splash of green, and we try to use that. Let's rearrange these cards extremely quickly, so we're not here all day. They're already mostly in a pretty good order. Kicker is something that I kind of miss, but I am just not a strategic enough player to use it correctly, I think. 3. 1. 3. Canopy Baloth was in here somewhere. Stragavision. Let's do it that way. Okay. So, a Dauntless Survivor, 1/1 target, counter on target creature. Gnarly Colony, if it was kicked, enters with 2 +1/+1s, and each creature with a +1/+1 has trample. Marasa, target creature gets +3/+3. If kicked, it's +5/+5. Florhedron will add us a land when we tap, and it's a 1/1. We can also do Tangled Veil. It enters the battlefield tapped. Oh, and a Dauntless Survivor. Missed that. Taunting Arbor Mage. If it was kicked, all creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. Broken Wings. Self-explanatory. Tajuru Snarecaster has reach, and it's a 1/4. Canopy Baloth has the landfall for +2/+2. I do like that, and I do like my Baloths. Jiraga Visionary. Jiraga Visionary enters the battlefield, draw a card. 3/2. Springmantle Cleric enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it, which would be a little nice if we did a splashy splash here. The Turn Timber Ascetic enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. We have 2 of those giant clerics. It's not making it easier. It's not making it easier. But you know what will make it easier? We're going to scroll through our... And of course we have the Turntimber Symbiosis. That's not making it easier, but we're going to rearrange our whites and our reds real quick and make sure that Boros is not the way to go. Right now I'm leaning Is It with a splash of green. But let's get our Boros... Let's get our white figured out, and then we'll go from there. In no particular order other than the fact that they are big cards. And I know I'm not getting them all perfectly organized. One thing I do like about this white is, unlike a lot of other white that I've played, there's a lot of cheap cards in here. Practice Tactics. Choose target attacking or blocking creature. Practice Tactics deals damage to that creature equal to twice the number of creatures in your party. Nice removal. The Archpriest of Iona. Power is equal to the number of creatures in the party. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. Disenchant destroys artifact or enchantment, of which obviously there are a lot in this set, and we have 2 of those. I got them a little out of order. Kitesail Cleric, which I also think I got out of order there, but that is flying, and we can tap 2 if we kick it. I know we have a couple Expedition Healers, so we'll just do Flying Fledgling, which has landfall for +1/+1 and gains flying. Expedition Healer, 2/2 with Vigilance, lifelink as long as you control another Cleric. Which makes a little bit of a case for those giant clerics. Seagate Minaret. Oh, that should have been a 1-drop. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah, that's nice. Skyclave Cleric enters the battlefield. You gain 2 life. We can also do a Skyclave Basilica. Here's Binding. Enchanted permanent can't attack or block, and activated abilities can't be activated. Farsight Adept enters the battlefield. You and target opponent each you and target opponent each draw a card. Angel Heart Protector enters the battlefield. Target creature you control gains indestructible. Smite the Monstrous. Destroy target creature power 4 or greater. Myria Captain. Flying Vigilance. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature in your party. Shepherd of Heroes. 2 life for each creature in your party. We have 2 of those. Makindiox. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature an opponent controls. And, oh yeah, Smite. Let's get him back in the right spot. Smite the Monstrous. That's a lot of cheap, pretty good removal and synergy with a lot of creatures. Now I'm kind of rethinking my no Boros statement. We have the Akum Hellhound, which has that nice ability of a +2/+2 when you get a landfall. Beast, which has trample and haste for 1 and deals combat damage to a player. Return a land you control to its owner's hand so you can keep landfalling once you have enough stuff out. Fireblade Charger, as long as it equipped, has haste, and when it dies, deals damage equal to power to any target, which, combined with something right after this, but the Tormenting Voice, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Okay, so you stick that on your Fireblade Charger, because when it enters, it attaches, and then it gets +2/+0. So then you've got a 3/1 you can sacrifice to take something out and then put this on something later. Couple Fisher Wizards, which, when they enter the battlefield, discard a card, and if you do, draw a card. You may, you don't have to. Cinderclasm. Kicker, 1. Deals 1 damage to each creature. Kicked, 2 damage to each creature instead. Cleansing Wildfire. Destroy target land, and then they can put a land out tapped, and then you get a card. Valakut Awakening. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. Risky, but, you know, if you make draw a bad hand, that could be helpful. We have 2 Tuk-Tuk Rebel Forts with Defender and Reach. Creatures you control have haste. That is nice. Kazul's Fury. Sacrifice a creature, and this will deal damage equal to its power to any target. You can also have a Kazul Cliff out of that. This Skyclave Geopede, which I might be just too in love with the art to think properly, but that's so cool. 3/1 with Trample, and then it can become a 5/3. That's amazing. Scorch Rider. Kicker, enters the battlefield. If kicked, gains haste until end of turn, which wouldn't matter if you had that enchantment out. Synchronized Spellcraft deals 4 damage to target creature and X damage to its controller, where X is the number of creatures in your party. So, a lot of instants and sorceries. Man. You know, I think we have to at least investigate how possible Boros would be. We have a lot. I don't know of anything in here I wouldn't want to use. This is all pretty cheap, pretty good stuff. I'm not so into discarding to draw 2. I mean, that can help you out of a tight spot, but I don't know. I feel like going fast and hard with this is maybe the way to do it. Those are cheap 2/1s, and the idea is getting enough creatures out so that you can overwhelm and add life and counters with some of those stronger white cards. Cinderclasm's nice. I mean, all this stuff, you know, destroying target land, draw a card, that, you know, all this stuff is pretty synchronized. This is all pretty utilitarian. Even that's kind of nice. Enters the battlefield if it was kick, gains haste, but again, if you can get this enchantment out there, you don't need that, and then here you can hit 2 people at once, which is sweet. Probably have to make some more decisions on what to cut there, because you want more than 6 of these for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe those. Yeah. I think we'd go Boros. I don't know if you would need Smite the Monstrous too much. I mean, you could remove a lot, but honestly, if you just hold on to... I don't even know if you would need... Yeah, maybe one of those would be good too. I think I'd go Boros, man. Let's double check what we've got here. I don't think the Fisher Wizards are as useful as I would want them to be. I think the rest of this, though, I would probably keep. Which gives us what? 9 to work with out of the white. That's not bad. Probably take Smite the Monstrous out. It's a little expensive. That's removing some of our removable. We're also adding some flying, so unless there was something in there that destroys all creatures, I think we could get away with it. The stuff where it's based on each of your party is the thing that I'm kind of paying attention to and tapping targets, but it's also relying a lot on kicker. I did okay with 16 lands, so you know what? Let's roll the dice on this and get rid of some things. Say we maybe don't need that. And say we maybe... I like being able to tap them, but maybe we don't need that. 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, 12... 13, 14. So what we have here is a Boros deck of 11 white and 14 red for a total of 25, leaving us room in a 40-card traditional pre-release deck for 15 lands, which you could split pretty close to the middle. We've got 1 red that can double as a land, and I think we have 1 white that can double as a land. Yeah, so I feel okay about not having more than that, not having the standard 17, and I would probably just slightly edge it towards the red so that we have enough to do multiple of these things at the same time, and then also kick a few things if we had to. Maybe that's the wrong strategy, but just sitting here thinking about it, I mean, we could go Izzet. We have a lot of cheap red, and we have a lot of good counter stuff in here, and we have one... If we turn those Fisher Wizards back in and took some other things out, we would have about, take these Living Tempests out, we have about 5 Wizards. I just don't know if that's enough to really get in on that. We're kind of leaning creature heavy here and trying to overwhelm and add. And I just don't know about the green. I just don't think there's enough. As usual, this green is all pretty expensive. And other than the Baloths, none of this really gets super strong. This might be the one instance where my instinct to go white-red sometimes, even though I said I wouldn't at the beginning, because I've been second-guessing it lately, would not be wrong. So, I don't know, let me know what you think. If anybody ever actually watches this, let me know. Was white-red the right call here? Or are you sitting there shaking your head, face, you fool? Why aren't you doing Golgari? Why aren't you doing Dimir with that Thought Thief? I don't know, man. I'm just trying to figure this stuff out. Luckily, it's not 19th or 20th of September 2020, but that is a Zendikar pre-release in very nice shape for being closing in on 5 years old. Very cool cards, and I mean, we got some pretty sweet cards here, man. Look at that. That Skyclave Geopede is phenomenally foiled. That looks so good. And I love having different pieces of art and just some different cards to check out. These lands are fantastic. Oh, I forgot all about that Crawling Barrens. We probably need to throw that in there because we can put counters on stuff. And I'm basic. That is, I forgot all about our artifacts over here too. We've got Stonework Pack Beast is also a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard, so that could go in there to add to the cleric. Enters the battlefield attached to target creature you control, so that's nice. For 1, it goes on to something and they get 1/1. And then our Relic Golem. Can't attack or block unless opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard. Probably don't need that one. But anyway. So Zendikar has risen like the phoenix for a sweet Boros pre-release deck. I'm curious one of these days to get a couple pre-release boxes with somebody else on the channel here, crack them and play them and see how we do. I think that would be an interesting exercise. The next logical step after we finally crafted a deck, after all these pre-release boxes we've opened, just to gawk at artwork and see if we would have pulled anything super cool. You know what they say, adventure's not for cowards, neither are sealed pre-release packs. Until next time, my friends, peace.